means the vaccine supply is growing. He also said it's a light at the end of the tunnel, but urged Americans to still remain vigilant, not let up. This is coming on the heels as well of some state governors today announcing that they're lifting statewide mask mandates and they're reopening very quickly in light of this news. We're going to be joined now, though, like I said, I've been previewing this all night. Dr. Peter Chin-Hong, he's an infectious disease specialist at the University of California, San Francisco. Dr. Chin-Hong, thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday night. I know it's a little later than usual, but we appreciate it nonetheless.
Always a pleasure, Andrew.
But let's get to that announcement you were just listening to from President Biden. And I was kind of struck as well. Have you ever seen two competing pharmaceutical companies agree to work together on the same product?
I know, it's like ebony and ivory, you know. It's two longtime foes coming together really for the common good. It's like a movie, a fairy tale. And, you know, thanks to the National Defense Act, we're seeing this happen.
And are you confident in President Biden's words that the end of May we'll have a vaccine for each and every American that's eligible? This was a couple of weeks ago, like I was saying in the introduction. They had said by mid or end July. So this is really ramped up.
I think so far it's been interesting with the strategy of President Biden. He's really been really realistic with setting expectations. And when you exceed expectations, everybody's happy. You know, it's a rush rather than what we're used to in many states, having lofty expectations and not setting them, not fulfilling them in time.
And let's talk about some of those states. Texas today, Mississippi today, lifting or announcing and signing orders saying they're going to lift their mask mandates statewide, saying they're going to reopen fully at 100%. Do you think that's premature?
It is super premature, Andrew. I'm not saying we're not ready for reduction of restrictions, but flipping on the light switch, just to use a term that Governor Newsom used in California, is probably not the right time. You know, I think in California we were burned with that strategy before when we opened way too early, and that was what happened in Southern California for a second wave, and we paid the price for that.
But what do you say, though, to some Americans who, you know, they reject what you just said? You know, we have the vaccine. Why can't we, you know, start opening up society again? For many Americans, it's kind of a spring fever feeling. They have COVID fatigue, and we're seeing such great vaccine news. But we're hearing from, you know, health professionals like yourself, many members of the media as well, that we can't let up just yet.
Because vaccine availability doesn't mean distribution is really set up to deliver those vaccines in an efficient way. Plus, you know, we're not in May right now. This is still March. So we still have some time to go before we achieve that magical number where enough people in the community are vaccinated where we feel safe. I think this is kind of like, I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but, and I'm always an optimistic person, but, you know, we've seen this before where we have this lull, we have this honeymoon period, and then it's going to be an uptick in cases following that.
And let's talk about some of the measurements, some of the numbers. Nationally, deaths are down on average, hospitalizations are very down on average, but cases have kind of plateaued. Where do you see that number going, either up or down?
I unfortunately see it going up. How much up is the question. I know a lot of people are planning spring break. And again, with Texas opening, I know South Padre Island was a big spring break destination back in the day when I was in college. So, you know, what that means is a lot of people who haven't been vaccinated getting together. And it's no walk in the park to even get asymptomatic COVID or even COVID with a few symptoms, because we've had recent studies showing that up to a third of folks will have chronic symptoms. So, you know, sometimes going to the hospital might not be necessarily the best situation either.
I see. And let's talk about the newest vaccine. Last time I talked to you, I believe it was just kind of getting going, the J&J vaccine, or at least the approval process for it. What do you say? I was hearing something today that people were kind of worried that if they got the J&J vaccine, it's kind of like the second-hand vaccine, if you will, compared to Pfizer, Moderna, that there's some kind of inequity there. Is there any credence to that?
No, because I think if I weren't in infectious disease, I'd probably feel the same way. But, in infectious disease and in healthcare, if a vaccine prevents deaths, if it prevents people from going to the hospital, if it prevents them from getting severe disease, I'm really excited. I'm very psyched. So the fact that this vaccine is close to 90% at preventing severe disease and no one died who got the vaccine is a victory in itself. Plus, there are a few other bonuses with this vaccine that we can get into as well.
And Dr. Chen Hong, my mom is a pharmacist back in Michigan, and she was saying to me the other day that certain areas and jurisdictions in Michigan that got however much vaccine allotment in the hundreds of thousands or whatever, either a third or a half of that in some places isn't getting into people's arms because people are not choosing to go get the vaccine, or there's somewhat of a sclerotic appointment system. How do we fix that?
Well, in California, what the governor did was by contracting with Blue Shield, which many people know is a behemoth of an institution, has a vast distribution network, and the people power to really do this. And but I think it's no easy fix, Andrew. We don't have a national health information technology system. We don't have a national payer, which adds to the beauty of being independently minded people as we are. But in a time of a pandemic, it leads to clunky appointment setting, particularly in a 2-dose vaccine. So that's where the J&J might be a little bit better. And you pointed out one aspect, that even if we had a gazillion vaccines, if people don't want to take it, you're not going to get to that herd immunity that we're aspiring to either.
Oh, I was also kind of wondering as well. I think I just kind of lost my point here. Bear with me. But as far as the vaccine goes, and getting teachers back into the classroom, that was one of President Biden's major initiatives today. He said he wants teachers in America to at least get their first dose by the end of March. That's good news. Also, do you think President Biden and his administration, do you think they should initiate a kind of national national website or hotline or registry for vaccine signups? Would that kind of streamline this?
It would totally streamline it. I think it's been really confusing. You've had to almost get an app to try and figure out where to get a vaccine, and most people in the community in California where I live, Blue Shield is going to help with that by streamlining it, but there's no national hotline, there's no national center feeling yet. I know that President Biden and his COVID task force promised us a national strategy. I'm hoping that they'll deliver on that promise.
Yeah, it remains to be seen on if there'll be some kind of centralized website or hotline. I hearken back to the disastrous rollout of the healthcare.gov for signing up for Obamacare. So that is obviously harkens back to something that was quite problematic at the time. Any final thoughts, Dr. Chen Hong, on what you'll be looking for in the next couple of days, the next couple of weeks? Are we on the right path here?
We're definitely on the right path. We're seeing end of May now for enough vaccines for people. I think it still needs to be said how many people will actually take the vaccine if offered, and how easy it will be to schedule and administer these vaccines. It'll make it easier with something like J&J that you can keep in a fridge. We still have 2 other vaccine companies in the pipeline for Operation Warp Speed. That's Novavax and AstraZeneca. So we may even see more vaccines adding to the stockpile that we're seeing now. And the bonus is that, I think that you're not going to see as many severe allergic reactions with these J&J and AstraZeneca because they don't have that lipid fatty bubble. So for people who are worried about that, that will hopefully be easier as well with this next wave of vaccinations.
All right. Any final thoughts before we let you go here on NewsNOW?
I just know that everybody's been super tired. I also have cabin fever. And I know it's really easy to say, tough to do, but, I just hope we can get through this and not see a huge spike in cases again.
All right. Well, Dr. Peter Chin Hong, the infectious disease specialist from UC San Francisco, always appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you again.
Always a pleasure, Andrew.
See you. All right, just a really illustrative and illuminating conversation there, as always, about the latest going on with COVID news, COVID vaccine news. And so the light is at the end of the tunnel. And as people even experience lots of COVID fatigue,